You would think ruining Mary Jane for Spider-Man would be enough for Insomniac, but that is not the case. They're moving on to bigger pastures, and I'm talking about the X-Men, where they're planning to ruin Jean Grey as well with an ultra-realistic wine-aunt character model design that we've been seeing becoming increasingly popular in the video gaming industry for these past 10 years, where we've seen a lot of character models turned into older, mature women that people don't like to look at visually for a long time. It seems that's the case too with some character model leaks for the Wolverine Insomniac game that's due to come out in 2026, and people were complaining about this. People were frustrated with some of the models that we're seeing, and now that we see the models for Jean Grey, we're seeing a character that we're not too familiar with, especially if you're a fan of the cartoon, especially if you're a fan of the live action movies that have come out recently. This doesn't look like the Jean Grey that we remember, and it looks like a DEI version of the Jean Grey that we never wanted, but political activists demand we see. And I think that's the case with Insomniac's Wolverine, because this game has associations with Sweetbaby Inc. And you can see from a tweet from Sweetbaby Inc. itself that they are interacting and heavily influencing Spider-Man 2 and of course Wolverine and Insomniac in these games. And of course Spider-Man 2 already came out. We already saw the swap of Mary Jane with another character that had the strong gin that is highly preferred from political activist organizations like Sweetbaby Inc., where they always prefer masculinized features for female characters because they see feminine curve and features like that are weak and inferior to men, which is astonishing to hear from a group that's supposed to be supporting and uplifting women, but they see every female characteristic as a weakness and it needs to be replaced by some masculinized version of that female attribute. And I think that is the case with a lot of the character models that we see within the industry, where it has to be stripped away of any femininity because for some reason they really hate female features. And I think that's the case with Perfect Dark, Joanna Dark, where she looks almost identical to a man. And I think that's the case. People were frustrated with the Perfect Dark release. Of course, this is a slightly edited version. The real version is like this, but there's no real difference between the two characters. You just change a few features and it looks like a man. And I think that is the case with a lot of these iterations of these character designs and models, where you have a lot of these feminine models, as you can see here, and they strip them away of that femininity because they want a masculinized version. And I think that's what we're getting with Jean Grey and the Wolverine Insomniac version that's coming out in these next few years. 2026 is the estimated release date, and I think a lot of people are just sad to see some of the visuals from this game. You can see some of the visuals where she's frumpy. She looks like a wine aunt that has been drinking and smoking and partying and has a couple of kids, and no one wants to play this version of Jean Grey. This is not the version of Jean we would want to see, and if it was, we wouldn't want to see her like this. I think this is the thing that people are upset with. I know this is a leak sample that is not completely finished, but what they're showing us is almost like a depressed wine aunt that has been drinking and has multiple kids and cheated on her husband. This is the version of Jean Grey they want to present to us. And it's not the version people want to look at, and it's not the version people want to play as, because that is what they're trying to do. We're going to play as Wolverine a little bit, but probably a lot we're going to play as Jean Grey. At least that's the speculation. We're going to have to play as a wine aunt Jean Grey, and no one really wants to do that. And this is the philosophy that we've been seeing in the gaming industry for the past years, where they want to make this more of a female-centric industry. And I think it's been killing multiple franchises and games and closing massive amount of studios because of this shift from these consultancy firms and agencies that are trying to push the games development sphere into a more moralistic activist stance when it comes towards development of video games. It's not towards profitability, of course, because these companies are going bankrupt, but it's towards these potential philosophies that they want to instill into the gamers that are playing these games. And of course, Insomniac has been swept up into this consultancy agency, Sweetbaby Inc., that has been influencing all their games. And of course, Insomniac itself has hired the people that love these ideas from Sweetbaby Inc. So it's an amalgamation of people with similar ideas, the developers themselves. If you know anything about Marvel's Wolverine associate narrative director Mary Kenny, she wants to include these political, gender, race elements all over video games that they're associated with. And I think that is the aim for a lot of these people that are working in the games development sphere right now, who are hired specifically for DEI reasons and with goals to instill these ideas. And I think that's what they're doing, and we're seeing it play out with Jean Grey, where we get this stupidly ugly version or just older version that looks like Melinda Gates. Who wants to play as Melinda Gates in a video game? It seems like these developers seem to think the majority male gamer base wants to play as Jean Grey, the older version, who's probably going to have an annoying personality, because a lot of these people like writing annoying older auntie characters. So it is this combination of things that is going to be aversive to the gamer itself. And I think Insomniac's Wolverine is looking like to be a massive depressive failure, at least for people that are open to playing a new X-Men game. And I'm one of those people looking forward to this game. I remember the old 2008 version, I forget when it comes out, that Wolverine game based on the Wolverine movie. It was one of my favorite games. I was hoping to get something like that was more raw and just energetic and just crazy and chaotic. This is one of the best Wolverine games I've ever played, and I was hoping for something similar to that, and we're just not going to get that, especially with some of the things that we're seeing from the leaks. It looks like it's a more female-oriented game that is dealing with elements that are just not that interesting to me. The gameplay looks okay for the most part, but knowing that they're gonna revolve the story around Jean Grey and probably do the same thing they did with Spider-Man 2, revolve it around multiple female characters, I'm just not that interested. I feel like they're using Wolverine as a bait and switch. That seems to be the case with a lot of entertainment properties nowadays, to do a bait and switch where they want to trick the fan base to play the game, and they want to insert some character they want you to play as more than any other. And I think we saw that with Spider-Man 2. We played as a random deaf girl. We played as an overpowered Mary Jane. We played so many different characters, not Spider-Man. That was annoying. I think that is the case with the Wolverine game. Of course, I want to go back to the 2000 version that came out with the movie. That was my favorite version, but I don't think we're going to get that. We're going to get some half-baked version that is not going to be trying to entertain the fan base. It's not going to be the essence of Wolverine. It's probably going to be a dumbed-down version of Wolverine that has to be subservient and stupid and follow whatever Jean Grey is saying, and I'm just not interested in that. And you can see some of the character designs here are already way better than whatever we saw in video games. And I think this is the version that I would like to see of Jean, but we're getting this Wynant version that is just not interesting at all. I'm just frustrated what Insomniac is doing to this game, what they're doing to this character, because she looks terrible. Of course, they can change this, but I highly doubt the story is going to change, because we still have the same people working on the game. These type of characters that are more focused on social, gender, racial, politics than actually X-Men, the comic book at all, and video games in general. They don't care about games. They don't care about comic books. How are they going to make a good video game comic book game? And I think with Spider-Man 2, we just got so much pandering and so much things outside of what we want to see from a comic book game that it was just annoying to play after a while, at least for me. And I know some people like that, but for me it was just something I just didn't want to engage in. But they destroyed Jean Grey here, and I don't know what to expect in more with this game. We see some of the other characters. Of course, Deborah Wilson is back. She's playing a race swap version of a character, Callisto. Of course, she looks exactly the same as she does in every single video game. I already made a video about her as a character. I just don't want to see her anymore. I don't care about seeing this type of character anymore. The lesbian, bald, black woman character in every video game that we're seeing nowadays. And this is kind of the prototype of something I'm dreading of seeing in this game. But you tell me what you think about this game. You think it's going to be a total disaster? I think probably that's the case. But you leave a comment, tell me what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.